Hi everyone, and welcome to Power Pop Shakers episode 4, where I talk about Power Pop new releases and the occasional reissue as well. And if you want to listen to the music I'm playing today, just go to my channel, click on playlists, and you'll see a playlist set up called Power Pop Shakers. Just click on that and you can listen to the tracks from this episode and previous episodes as well. And also there'll be details of the records I talk about in the description below this video. Okay, first up we've got a compilation album called Fading Yellow Volume 18, which is available on CD on the Busy Bee or Flower Machine labels. This comp series of pop-sike has been going since I think the 1990s now, and they gather together unknown 45s from around the world. I've added 3 songs to the Power Pop Shakers playlist, which are included on this latest volume, and some of these I think are really good. The Teen Makers is the first one, and the track On a Saturday. They used to be billed as the Danish Hollies, and I've been checking them out, and there's a double CD out there called the Danish Hollies, which came out many years ago on the Rockin' Beat Records label. And it's really rare now. I'd love to get a hold of that. Next up we've got the J5, It's Raining, and they were a German beat group from the 60s. And finally there's a track by Jack Grunsky called Julie Knows, and it's a sort of bossa nova influenced soft pop record by an Australian born Canadian. Right. Next album to talk about is Ex-Norwegian band, and they put together a record with some of their friends, so it's billed as Ex-Norwegian and Friends, and the album is a tribute to Jimmy Campbell, the Liverpool singer-songwriter, and it's available on CD and LP on the Think Like a Key Music label. Ex-Norwegian were formed in 2008 by Roger Houdale, and their latest album was released in April 2021, and it has them working with a number of interesting guest vocalists, including Joe Kane, who I've talked about before with his album as the Poppermost, John Ford, who you may remember from the 70s in the band Hudson Ford, and also an early lineup of the Strawbs, and the wonderful singer-songwriter who also came from the 70s originally, John Howard. And I've added the track Baby Walk Out With Your Darling Man to the Power Pop Shakers playlist, and that's got guest vocals by John Howard, and it's an absolutely beautiful song. Next record to talk about is The Cleaners from Venus and Penny Novelettes, which is available on Cleaners from Venus label, and you can find it at Bandcamp, as you can for most of these CDs and records I'm talking about. It's one of Martin Newell, who records as the Cleaners from Venus, is one of those great English eccentrics in pop music who know what their vision is, and they build up a large cult following. We're just focusing on that vision throughout the years. He's ridiculously talented journalist and writer as well as a musician, and he pens beautiful English-centric guitar pop. His musical tastes were formed in the 1960s, so you can always hear the influence of the Beatles and Ray Davies in the songwriting. And he's worked with some interesting artists over the years, including Captain Sensible, who toured with him at one time, and has been produced by Andy Partridge in the past as well. He's a unique talent, really to be treasured if you've not heard of him before. And I've added the track Penny Novelette to the playlist. Next up we've got a band called Fight Milk, and their second album Contender, which was released in May this year. It's available on LP or CD on the Reckless Yes label. Can also be found on Bandcamp. And their secret weapon, I think, is their guitarist and vocalist Lily Ray, and they put together some fantastic pop songs with a bit of edge to them, and there's a lot of influences in there. I can even hear a bit of emo type music from America, emo pop, but really they're just a great pop band, and remind me a little bit, I suppose, of Sleeper from the Britpop era, but as I say, a lot edgier than that. And I've added a very whimsical track to the playlist called I'm Starting to Think You Don't Want to Go to Space. And next up we've got Micktrouble and his album It's the Micktrouble, and that's an LP on emotional response. It came out actually back in July 2019, but I've only just found out about it, and it's such an interesting record that ticks a lot of boxes for me. And this is the pseudonym for an artist called Jedediah Smith, and his main band is called My Teenage Stride, who are a very good indie band. And he created this alter ego of Micktrouble, who sounds like a London DIY punk in a similar vein to early 80s acts, especially television personalities, that DIY punk scene, pop punk scene that was going on at the time. It's pretty impressive when you realise he's not actually from London, he comes from Brooklyn. And I've put the full album on the playlist, and yeah, I'd encourage you to have a listen to it. I think it's pretty good. Next up we've got The Boys with the Perpetual Nervousness and the album Songs from Another Life, and it's an LP that's come out on Bobo Integral, and that was released in February this year. Again, you can find it on Bandcamp. This was recommended to me by MacPop Matt, who has commented on a few of my videos in the past, and good choice there, Matt. It's full of jangling Birds guitars, really out of the top drawer, and yet another band that is indebted to an early Teenage Fan Club. And it's actually a duo that was formed by Gonzalo Marcos, who's based in Madrid, and he plays in an indie band called El Palacio de Linares, and Andrew Taylor from Edinburgh, who plays in a band called Dropkick. And I've added the track Play on My Mind to the playlist, so you can have a listen to that. Next up, a band which I've only just discovered, and I think this band is fantastic. Local Drags, and their LP is called Keep Me Glued, and it's come out on the Stardom label here in Europe, and Music Shop in America. Came out in March this year, and they're a guitar band trio led by Lanny Durbin on guitar and vocals, and they come from Springfield, Illinois. It's their second album. This made me smile. Stardom's Records website describes them as America's least known power pop sensation, and they are sensational. I've added the track Think Straight to the playlist, and I think this is power pop perfection. Fantastic record. Next up we've got the debut vinyl LP by The Umbrellas, self-titled album, and it's come out on the long-standing American indie label Slumberland. This band comes from San Francisco, and again an American band that's taken its influence from UK music. There's a lot of the C86 UK indie band influences in there, even down to how they cut their hair and the clothes that they wear. The male vocalist, I think it's a mix of Stephen Pastel and Calvin Johnson. He's got the same sort of deep voice as Calvin Johnson. And the female vocalist reminds me of Tallulah Gosh, Amelia Fletcher. I've put the video for pictures on the Power Pop Shakers playlist, which is a bit of fun, and also the full album, so you can really indulge yourself and decide whether it's worth purchasing. Next up we've got Reno Bow. There's another name that was new to me, and he's put out a single called Count Your Karma, coupled with I Saw the Light, which is only available as a download, and it's on the Electric Western label. He also released an album last year called You Can See It All From Here, and I think that's probably sold out on vinyl now. He's a Nashville-based musician, although he originally comes from New York, and I've also just found out today that he's put out a compilation of B-sides, covers and other non-album releases from the past 5 years, and that's called Flashback to the Future, and that was released in the middle of July this year. Again though, it's only available as a download, and it's a pity that it's not been given a vinyl release, because I think he's an exceptional artist. And we've got a more established artist to end with today, and that's the Chills and their album Scatterbrain, which came out on LP and CD on Fire, their 7th album. The Chills, of course, led by Martin Phillips from Dunedin in New Zealand, and it continues to use the guitar pop format to explore serious subject matters, including on this occasion grief and impending mortality. And the full album can be found on the playlist. I've already got a few new records I've been listening to in the last few days, so I'll be posting another video in about 6-7 days time. So until then, enjoy exploring the artists I've talked about today, and I'll see you soon. Take care.